Hey guys, this is Ira Sutton, here to electrify, and welcome to episode 2 of Ira Sutton's Cartoon Criticisms. On this episode, I'm going to talk about Sophia the First, episode 2, Just One of the Princes. Now, before I talk about the episode, I should take this time to talk about the theme song. The theme song to this is a really great theme song. I really like it. It's a really catchy, powerful, and strong theme song. It's got a catchy beat to it, and it really explores the themes and the morals that this show presents. Overall, I really do like it. It is a really good theme song. Now, let's talk about the episode itself. In this episode, Sophia wants to join the Flying Derby, which is basically like a horse race, except the horses are flying, like Pegasuses, and they race across a track with lots of obstacles. And Sophia has loved the Flying Derby ever since she was a peasant in the village. At the beginning of the episode, her mother says that when she was living in the village, she used to take a broom and pretend that it was her flying horse. So after watching a Flying Derby race, Sophia decides that she's going to try out for her school's Flying Derby team. And so she goes and asks to try out, but the problem is that princesses have never tried out before. Because it's not really a princess thing, which goes into one of the main themes of this episode, the status quo. Like what a princess should do, what a princess shouldn't do, what a prince should do, what a prince shouldn't do. And it's explored well in the song A Princess Thing, and I really like the song. It's a very catchy song that I like. It reminds me of the song Stick to the Status Quo from High School Musical. Because, the situation is very same here as it was in that song in that movie. So, and I really like the ending where, Sophia has her solo and the part where the doves fly in behind her. So, afterwards, she tells her family that she's going to try out for the Flying Derby, and they suggest that James train her. James is reluctant, but overall he decides to help her out. After Sophia decides to try out for the team, she gets this nervous horse called Minimus, and Minimus, he doesn't really have a lot of self-confidence. He says, "Hey, if you want to win the race, don't pick me. I'm not really that good." But Sophia picks him anyway because she feels that the two of them can work well together. And so, so the two begin training, and it goes about as well as you would expect. Because Sophia tries practicing with Minimus, and she falls down a couple of times. But luckily, there are these small pillows on the ground to cushion her fall. She keeps falling down over and over and over again. But Sophia's like, I'm not going to quit. I don't care how many times I fall down. I'm going to keep trying until I get it right. Which is another one of the main themes of this episode. Never giving up and perseverance. If you persevere long enough, at something, eventually you will get good at it. And then Hugo, the best racer of the team, comes along, and he's basically making fun of James for trying to teach Sophia, and Sophia for trying to, enter the Derby because, he says it's not a princess thing according to him and a lot of other people. And that's a subplot of this episode. James teaching Sophia how to be good at flying derby, because it was said at the beginning that he failed. Amber said that he failed to make the team the previous year, and so, but by teaching Sophia how to be good at derby, he actually ends up bettering himself. He ends up improving his skills as well as hers. On another thing, I should probably talk about Hugo. Hugo is he's just the typical arrogant, jerky pretty boy. He's loved by the girls, hated by the men. Sophia's sister and her friends are like, "Oh, Prince Hugo, he's so adorable." And he's making fun of Sophia, making fun of James, and he's being virtually an antagonist towards the two, up to the point where, when the race actually begins, he actually cheats. He slows down his horse, which causes Sophia to slow down and knocks her out of the race for a bit, which makes Amber dislike him. But yeah, he's just the typical arrogant pretty boy. Right. So yeah, James teaches Sophia how to be good at flying derby. She actually gets better, and she and Minimus are doing well at the obstacles, but there's one that they can't really get. It's this really tall tower that has this bell in it, and it's where you actually, on your horse, you have to fly up the tower, go through, and then grab the bell in order to get through the obstacle. And Sophia and Minimus are having trouble with that. They're having trouble with that particular obstacle, and they've tried many, many times, but they just can't get it. So after a while, Sophia is talking with her mom, and she says, maybe Hugo and Amber are right. Maybe I should just quit. Because actually, prior to that, the previous night, Amber was talking with Sophia, and she says, Sophia, maybe you should quit. I don't want you to get hurt. Maybe you should just do princess things. And, that really shows how far Sophia and Amber's relationship has come since the TV movie, where, Amber is a lot nicer to Sophia, and she actually is concerned about her safety. She's not trying to discourage her, but she just doesn't want her to get hurt. She's just concerned about her safety. I really like that. I really like that development of their relationship. But then Sophia's mom is like, I know you can do this, and what's important is that you know you can do this, what you think and what you believe. And after talking with her mom and her friends, Sophia decides that she's going to keep trying. She's going to persevere. And then she gets up early in the morning and trains with Minimus, going through the obstacles, but they're still unable to, master that tower. They keep trying and trying, but they're still unable to get it. But Sophia decides she's not going to quit on that. She knows eventually the two of them will make that tower. So later on, the race begins, and everyone's there. Sophia's sister is there, her friends are there, her parents are there, and Sophia's reluctant that they came, a little weary of them coming, but, she goes ahead with the race. The race begins, they go through the obstacles. Of course, like I said before, Hugo cheats, takes her out of the race for a bit, but then Sophia recovers and continues, and then finally, she and Minimus are able to fly through the tower and ring the bell and get through, and then she and James pass Hugo and win the race. So this was actually a great moment of triumph for both Sophia and James. Sophia, her perseverance and dedication allowed her to win the race, and James, through his teaching of Sophia, was actually able to better himself and actually become really good at the flying derby, and was able to make him win. So yeah, it was a great moment for the both of them. Later on, we see Hugo, who sees Princess Amber. He curtsies to her, but then Amber is like, I don't think so, jerk face. Oh, she doesn't really say that. She just goes, and walks by him, not even giving him a passing glance. And then she goes up to Sophia and congratulates her for making the flying derby. She says, I was wrong. Anything can be a princess thing. And then she gives Sophia her derby tiara, and that's pretty much the episode. So overall, this is a very good episode, and it has a good moral to it, where you have to persevere and you should never give up, because when in real life, when you're doing things like going out for a team, any kind of team, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, or soccer, you have to put some work in. You can't just go in expecting to just pass it right away because you love the sport. You have to put in some extra hours in. You have to put in some work in it, extra hours of training and discipline. You have to strive for perfection, and it takes some time, but eventually you will improve yourself and you will actually get better. That's one of the most important things to do when you're trying out for a team. So yeah, I like that moral of the story, along with the bit about, the status quo, about what should be done, about who does what, who shouldn't do what princes do, what princesses do, what they do and don't do. I also like that as well. Catchy songs, and overall, well, it's not my favorite episode, but it's a very good episode. So, with that being said, that concludes this episode of Ira Sutton's Cartoon Criticisms. Be sure to like and subscribe below, and I will be back soon with my review of the next episode of Sophia the First. Ira Sutton, over and out.